Okay, people, welcome back to another Fwoosh review. Tonight, I'm taking a look at the McFarlane Toys Fortnite Cuddle Team Leader. Yeah, 2 McFarlane figures in the span of a month, after not buying one in years and years. Well, that's not true. Technically, I haven't bought a McFarlane Toys for me in a couple of years at least. The wife is a big Walking Dead collector. I pick those up whenever I find them. And I'll admit it right off the bat, I don't know a lot about Fortnite. I know some of the characters now, going to Comic-Cons and just seeing the toys solicited and different discussion groups online, but I've never played the game, so I don't know the specifics of everything here. But despite it being something I don't know about, despite it being McFarlane, which I haven't had the greatest luck with in the past, I had to give this a try because this looks like a more traditional type action figure. It seems to have a lot of joints that McFarlane doesn't really put into a lot of... Yes, I know, Halo, okay, I never bought those. I never played Halo. For something that I'm interested in, even slightly, it's nice to see McFarlane making an effort. Looking at the package, it's a little bit plain. There's a light blue background, there's pink, the Fortnite logo. There's not a lot here, but you know what? When it comes down to it, you want the toy inside. And that's nicely displayed. You see everything it comes with, the figure, etc. On the side, Fortnite, Epic Games, promotional shot of Cuddle Team Leader. On the back, the rest of the figures in the series. Now, I found this at GameStop. I don't know why they got just Cuddle Team Leader so early. I was expecting these in a month or so. But I will admit my interest in this line was more for kind of the other figures. But you know what? I'll take this one too. It's visually interesting. You got the roleplay items down here. On the side, another promotional shot of Cuddle Team Leader. Top, same thing. Bottom, warnings, price tag, a bunch of unreadables. I like how it says photos are of action figure prototypes, product specifications subject to change. Please retain packaging for future reference. So just in case your figure doesn't do or look like the figure they solicited, you know, keep the package just so we'll remind you of that, I guess. But I'm gonna get this open and see what's going on here. You gonna do me right this time, Todd? And there we go, all out of the package, and I have to, oh man. Welcome to 2018, Mr. McFarlane. Looking at the sculpt here, oh, the fur is just so nicely done, and it's not a surprise. When it comes to McFarlane, the sculpt and paint is usually on point. I enjoy looking at them in the package. It's when I get them in hand, but we'll talk about that here in a second. The fur here, it's so nice and crisp while looking furry. Fuzzy, you know what I mean? The straps are nicely punched into that fur design. The belt, the armor pieces, the boots, you have the laces, nicely done all the way down to the shoe. Well, the shoe part of the boot, shoe. You have a wrist module of some kind. The bandana tied around her arm with the little flyaway pieces there. And then the paint on top of that. It's a little globby in places, like right here on the front of the belt. It seems like the white is just poured on there thick. The white on the shoelaces don't seem to be as heavy as it needs to be. Well, as heavy as it is up here. I feel like the color of the boot is kind of shining through there a little bit, and it misses in a couple places. You can see the pink fur coming down over the boot, kind of on the strap right there. But the overall fur look, which is the majority of the figure, it's got a nice base color, and then it's either dry brushed or washed in with a darker pink reddish color. So that helps to bring out all that nice detail in the sculpt. It's a little heavy in places. Right here you can see this shoulder is darker than this shoulder, but it's one of those things you don't notice unless you're just going right at it. And then the tampo stuff like the heart right here, nicely done. Looking at the head, same thing. Nice, crisp, yet fuzzy fur. Paint job to it to bring out that nice detail. On the back we have these buttons, a lighter pink color, the boot color actually coming all the way back up here. I like how that ties together. This battle scar coming up, just nicely done all together, and it just flows into the rest of the body. Now, as much as I love this figure so far, I do have a couple of gripes, and they're not even gripes, they're more like suggestions. They're the evolution of McFarlane from half statue to a kind of fantastic action figure. You get too crazy with the head, and it wants to pop off, and it was super scary being McFarlane the first time this happened. But it's essentially just a ball. We'll take a closer look at that here in a minute. It pops back on, nothing to it. You're good to go. The wrists, I've put them through their paces, and they haven't broken, but that's my worry point. The wrists and then the ankles. There's a ball joint there, and it feels funky when you try to turn it. But my biggest thing is in the hips, and it's not really even a gripe. The articulation is there, it just takes a little bit of work. If you try to come out with it, it feels like it jams, and I was like, oh, this is all the movement it gets? That's okay, I guess. But what is happening here, because of all the articulation McFarlane has jammed into this one point, this hip is running into the bottom of her torso, going down into the waist. So if you move this like this, and yes, this is a McFarlane figure moving this far. If you move that out of the way, then you get full range of movement in the hips. So it's just A little bit of engineering snafu. It's there, it works, it's just one cog in the big machinery running into another cog. It's the same thing on both sides. What made me realize it was I moved back with the leg, and when I did that, I got full range out. And then as best as I could look up in there, I realized what was going on. Now going over articulation, there is a dumbbell joint at the top of the neck. You can see the ball up in there. But if you look deeper in there, that dumbbell goes way up into the top of the head. And then at the bottom of the neck, you get a ball joint there too. In the package, I was looking at this and I thought, oh man, that's not a lot of clearance for the neck joint. The neck's not gonna move. And I was totally wrong. If you shift forward and move down, she can bury her chin. Shift back a little bit, can look most of the way up. Tilt, just excellent range for a big bobble-headed looking head. Bobble-headed looking head. You get a dumbbell joint in the shoulder with a shoulder cap hiding that articulation. You can shift up, you can shift down, you can shift forward, you can shift back. Nice range all the way around. There's a hinge going into the shoulder from the end of that dumbbell. Comes up like that, rotates around. You have a swivel at the bicep, double elbow, and look at that. All the way up. On both arms, the bottom wants to move easier than the top. I gotta kind of grab it by the elbow to move the top, but once it does, it just flows right all the way up to the thing. It's so beautiful. Swivel hinge swivel at the wrist, but I haven't been able to get a lot of rotation out of the upper swivel, just the bottom at the wrist. You do get a lot of hinge out of that. I haven't forced that because I'm good with an up and down hinge for a weapon holding hand. I may work on that later though. Ball joint in the mid torso, it gets forward a little bit, back, a little bit of tilt, a little bit of tilt. Then we get to the ball joint in the waist. And with that, you get nice crunch. Work those two together and it's not all the way forward, but damn nice crunch. Can arc back, tilt, getting the torso out of the way again. You can see the hinge joint at the hip right there. Then there's a swivel before that and a rotation below. So you get out that far, forward, back, a little bit of rotation there, but if you go too crazy, you start seeing the inner workings. Double knee doesn't come quite all the way up to kick her own ass, but damn close. And then we get down to the ankle. Again, it's swivel, hinge, swivel, and it rotates there, but the pin's also straight down into the foot, so there's rotation on both sides. It doesn't give you natural rocker, but you can take that joint there, move it, rotate the foot on that, work it around, try to keep it side to side, and then you can get rocker that way. But then you're stuck with no forward and back. In the natural position, foot goes back that far, forward that far, and then there's a toe joint that comes, well, all the way up. For accessories, she comes with legendary assault rifle. It's a little bit soft, but I guess it's accurate to the game. Kind of run into that gloppy paint. It's not enough to add a super heavy texture to it, but you can tell it was really laid on there. And it seems Cuddle Team Leader is left-handed because that's the side the trigger finger is on. It's easy enough to put the grip in. Her trigger finger goes in there. It's a little bit loose, but she's not going to drop it. I do worry about the material it's made out of. It's not as bad as I've seen some McFarlane. Actually, now that I'm forcing it, it is a little bit softer than usual. Because with Ghost, he fell off the shelf a couple days ago and the tip broke off. She comes with Cuddle Bow back bling, and it's essentially just a bow painted black, but nicely sculpted. She has a hole in her back. The pin is a little bit big, but once you pop it in, it stays in. I don't know if they intentionally made it wider at the end, so when you pop it in, it wants to stay in. It's a nice concept. It's just at first I thought, this is not going in. I'm gonna have to shave something. And apparently this is interchangeable with the rest of the figures in the series. And then she comes with the Rainbow Smash pickaxe. Nice sculpt to this, crisp, and I keep saying crisp, but that word applies. It's just nicely done all around. All the different colors to it, it just pops whenever a pink teddy bear type character is holding a rainbow unicorn pickaxe. It's not too soft. It's not just going to snap from the force of putting it in her hand, which also has a little bit of flex to it. It's not a problem putting that in there. And because of the articulation, it is not a problem at all to get her into a 2-grip pose. For size, she stands pretty much 7 inches tall. The McFarlane Ghost is around 6-inch scale. You can tell that the Fortnite stuff is going to be larger 7-inch scale. Because here she is with the NECA RoboCop and Predator Dutch. A little too large for your Marvel Legends, unless you want to make her an Asgardian, and there's nothing wrong with that. But then, as always, here she is with Gus. Well, that seals it. I have to quit drinking. So at the end of the day, what the hell just happened? McFarlane Toys just made an action figure so goddamn well done that I'm considering collecting a whole line of action figures based on a property I do not care about at all. McFarlane Toys. Articulated action figure. It's blowing my mind. This is an action-oriented pink teddy bear in combat gear with weapons, fully articulated, nicely painted, nicely sculpted. I couldn't pass this thing up, and I'm glad I didn't. Out of the initial assortment, this was probably my least wanted character. The rest fit my collection better, but you know what? I'm gonna find a place for Cuddle Team Leader. I love this damn thing. It is just beautiful all the way around. Some of the poses you can get out of a McFarlane figure, I keep saying that, I know, but McFarlane, what the hell? So I guess I'm going to be doing more research, finding out more about some of the other characters, more about the game. I may even try the game. My son plays it all the time. Apparently it's pretty good. I just have a lot of Red Dead in me right now. Either way, I will soon have a Fortnite shelf or display. What the hell, man? So if you like the review, comment, like, subscribe. I'll catch you on the fwoosh.